A homeless man stepped inside a luxurious five-star restaurant, his torn clothes and unkempt appearance immediately drawing disapproving glances. He hesitated at the entrance, clutching a few crumpled bills in his hand. A waiter approached him with a forced smile, eyeing him from head to toe. "Sir, I'm afraid we have a strict dress code," he said, blocking his way. Nearby, a group of wealthy customers at a table began laughing. "This place isn't for beggars," one of them sneered. The homeless man's face turned red with embarrassment, but before he could say anything, a deep, commanding voice cut through the air. "That's funny. I don't remember seeing a sign that says, 'No humanity allowed.'" The entire restaurant turned silent as they recognized the man standing at the entrance, Clint Eastwood. Clint stepped forward, his piercing gaze sweeping over the waiter and the laughing customers. The waiter swallowed hard, his confidence faltering. The wealthy diners shifted uncomfortably in their seats, avoiding eye contact. Clint walked past them and stood next to the homeless man. "A man's worth isn't judged by his clothes," he said, his voice calm yet firm. He looked at the waiter. "Tell me, do you serve food here or just insults?" The waiter stammered, "Yes sir, we just," but Clint wasn't finished. He turned to the manager, who had hurried over, his face pale. "Let him sit," Clint ordered. The manager hesitated, glancing at the elite customers. One of them scoffed. "Why should he get a seat when he clearly can't afford to eat here?" Clint raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a thick stack of bills. "Because tonight, he's eating like a king." The room went dead silent. The manager, realizing he had no choice, quickly led the homeless man to the finest table in the restaurant. The once arrogant waiter now hurried to set up the place, his hands shaking slightly. Clint sat across from the homeless man, watching as he struggled to hold back tears. "Thank you," the man whispered. Clint nodded. "Eat first. We'll talk later." The rich customers who had laughed before now watched in disbelief as the best dishes were brought to the table. The homeless man took his first bite, savoring the taste of a warm meal after what seemed like forever. But Clint wasn't done teaching a lesson. He turned to the wealthy group. "You ever wonder how a man ends up in his position? Or is it easier to laugh and pretend it could never be you?" One of the men shifted in his seat. "We didn't mean any harm," he muttered. Clint smirked. "Didn't you? Then why do you look so uncomfortable now?" The tension in the room was unbearable, but what happened next shocked everyone even more. The homeless man wiped his mouth and looked up. "I used to own a business, one of the biggest in this city," he said, his voice steady. The room fell completely silent. "I had wealth, power, and friends. Then, one bad deal, one mistake, and everything was gone." The rich customers who had mocked him now sat frozen, their faces paling. "I lost my home, my family, and my dignity. And people like you." He glanced at them. "Made sure I stayed down." The manager looked horrified, realizing the man he had turned away wasn't just anyone. Clint leaned back in his chair. "You never know someone's story. And treating them like trash. That says more about you than it does about them." The wealthy diners couldn't meet his eyes. One of them finally cleared his throat. I didn't know." Clint smirked. "You never cared to." The lesson had been delivered, but Clint had one more thing to say before leaving. Clint stood up and pulled a card from his pocket. "There's a shelter downtown looking for people with experience. You show up there tomorrow, they'll take care of you." The homeless man took the card, his hands shaking. "I don't know how to thank you." Clint tipped his head. "Just pay it forward when you can." He turned to the rich customers, who sat quietly, ashamed of their earlier behavior. "Money comes and goes. Character stays." Without another word, he walked toward the exit. The restaurant, once filled with cruel laughter, was now a place of reflection and regret. As Clint reached the door, he glanced back one last time. The homeless man, now treated with respect, was enjoying his meal in peace. With a satisfied nod, Clint stepped outside, disappearing into the night. If you want to see more powerful stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss a new one.